welcome to another edition of the CDG BizCast. I'm your host, Christian Gonzalez, the owner of Creativity Design Group, a digital marketing firm in Houston, Texas. Today we will be discussing why free website builders such as Wix and Weebly should not be utilized for business purposes and how they can be outright dangerous to your company's image. My guests today are Chef Jay and Facedown Tragedy from the After the Shuffle podcast show on YouTube, and my correspondent in the United Kingdom, Lauren Hicks. Thank you guys for joining us today on this episode of CDG BizCast. Chef Jay, I'd like to start with you. Please talk to me about your experience getting the After the Shuffle website started.
Sure, Christian. Well, eventually, it took a while to actually figure out the actual company that I wanted to use for our website building process, because I never built a website before, and I wanted something that was actually worthwhile. And even out there's those people that say you get a free website or whatnot, but technically you're handing your rights away if you're getting something free for nothing.
That's correct. We're going to be talking about why free website builders are not good, especially for people who are serious about doing business and having a good presence online. But first, please tell me, what platform was the After the Shuffle website built on? Was it built with WordPress, or what did you use to build it? Or did you build it at all? Did you have somebody else build it that was under contract from your hosting company?
Well, what I actually did is I just Googled it, and I did a bunch of research from what other people's research did, like the BBB reviews, normal people reviews, and even YouTube, where people say, check out this place or check out that website. So that's pretty much what I did, but I use Namecheap.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a nice contract. You can use it for free for a couple days, but you still have to give them some information and all that other nice fun stuff. So after, they kind of bait you in, you're like, oh, use this free for 15 days. And after that, we'll either own your name or you get to pay for it. And you can have your name.
Right. You're supposed to have your domain name registered beforehand, before you start the website. You're supposed to purchase the domain. But when it came to building your website, what tool was provided to you for building it? Was it built with WordPress or some similar site builder?
They have options where you can use WordPress or other ones, but I think they have their own. It's actually called Website Builder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually pretty easy. You click on it and you go to the CC panel and you just click on the website builder, and it's all templates, and it's really simple.
Would you say that with this website builder that they have, would you say that there's a lot of limitations while using this website builder? Would you say that they only allow you to do so much versus having a website that's fully in your control in terms of design?
Well, actually, you do have full access. You can edit the HTML manually if you really needed to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say if you're a professional person, it might limit you a little bit, but I'd say it probably goes up to the medium user. And they have all the stats, and they have antivirus and all this other nice fun stuff too. So it's pretty cool for them.
That's good.
It's working for us. It's working for us really well. I want to say that I'm not promoting them by any means.
Your website looks decent, and I see that you put a lot of time and effort into putting it together. It's a simple website, but it still represents the After the Shuffle brand very well.
Definitely. It's probably about 2 weeks. And if I need to edit anything, it's only a couple hours, nothing really major.
Right. Your website's simple, and it represents the content of what After the Shuffle does really well. But I wanted to talk to you about how to avoid getting scammed by website design companies as well. And I know you've been doing your research on that. I see that you had a stellar experience with your company that you worked with. But let's say you were doing your research, you called one company, and the first thing that the person that you spoke to on the phone, the sales agent, told you was that they were trying to get you to sign on really quick, just like that. Like, they don't even want you to think about what you're getting into. They just want you to sign the contract and move on. How would you feel about a high-pressured sales environment like that?
Well, like any contract, Christian, you need to actually sit down and read the whole contract.
That's right.
Even if it takes a day or two, you might have to read it 2 times.
That's right.
And have someone else even read it too, because you might miss something.
That's right.
The contract is pretty much everything.
That's right. Yes. What we do with our clients here at CDG is when we send them their contracts, we expect them to read it line by line, and sometimes we'll even go over the contract with them line by line. And we've had a few clients in the past who told us, why are you charging us for this? Why are you charging us for that? And that tells me that they did not read the contract. We outline in the contract what we would be charging them for if they choose these certain add-ons that we offer. And when the clients don't read the contract and they're asking us why we're charging them for those add-ons, that tells me they didn't read the contract, because they should, if they have read it carefully, they would have known we're not charging you for those right now. That's if you need those services later. We're trying to be as upfront and transparent as possible. And that rule applies to any service you get, not just website design. It's a rule of thumb as a customer to do your due diligence and read over everything you sign and make sure you know exactly what you're signing up for before you hand over your credit card or your money.
You're signing over your signature, which is property of you.
Exactly. You're supposed to do your due diligence, and we talk about this all the time. Every show that we've done so far, I've always said, do your due diligence. That's not an option. Doing your homework is important if you want to make sure that you're getting the best deal and that you're not getting ripped off.
Definitely. And another thing I want to talk about is some of these people, they don't have really good customer service. When you actually try to like go into the chat or need some help or something, they might not help you out a lot. But this company, they were right there helping you out every step of the way.
And that's one of the points that I want to cover later when we talk about why free website builders are bad.
Yep.
And Lauren,
Lots of red flags.
And Lauren, I believe you were about to say something as well.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I never used to be like that, but over the last couple of years I've got more wary about who I give my card details to, and I always make something's legit before I type in my card details, because I've nearly been scammed in the past. Luckily, not so much, but I've luckily been on it straight away. But now I'm really hot on it. I won't give my details out unless it's legit. That's
the safest thing you can do, is do your research first. Make sure the company you're dealing with is a good company that you can trust and that they won't rip you off. And one way that you can keep yourself safe is when you're trying to find a good company, and whether it be for website design or any type of service that involves a high dollar product or service, what you'll want to do is you're going to want to do your research. You're going to want to research the companies you're doing business with. It doesn't matter what type of professional service you're getting. Could be website design. Maybe you're trying to get your house painted or something similar along those lines. You're going to want to make sure that they have good reviews. Ask for references if you can. If they're listed on the BBB, check them out too and see what they have to say about it. What reviews do they have on the BBB? Are they full of complaints? Do they have an F rating or an A rating? That's going to make a huge deciding factor over whether or not you want to go with that company or not. And then if they're not listed on the BBB, go to Google or Yelp or any other platform that they might be listed on. People leave reviews on Facebook too. There's a lot of places that you can check. If you see that one company has too many 1-star or 2-star reviews and they outnumber the 5-star reviews, that's a company you're not going to want to do business with. Chances are the only 5-star reviews they have were written by the owner themselves or by employees of the company or people related to the owner of that company. They're probably not even real 5-star reviews, while all the 1-stars and the 2-star reviews are legit and they're actual customers who are upset that they were ripped off.
Yeah, but sometimes as well, which I have noticed, loads of people, right, on one item on, this is just an example, on Amazon, I was looking up different dairy-free milks to buy because I drink dairy-free, and there was this certain oat milk, and people were saying, oh, it curdles, it's absolutely rubbish, blah, blah, blah. There were no good reviews whatsoever on it. I bought it, and not once did it curdle. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it. So sometimes, you have to go by reviews, but on the odd occasion, you have to think, are they actually accurate? If it's if you're buying something little, for example, but but on other things you do have to be careful, because the review, like my Samsung washing machine, for example, it had bad reviews, but I still bought it, and it ended up being as the reviews were.
And that's the way that's the way you really need to treat the website builders as well. Is you may not think of it this way, but whether you're buying it or it's free, you need to think of what you're getting as a product as well as a service.
That's right. And that's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about why free website builders such as Wix and Weebly and Squarespace, the top 3 big ones, are not good especially if you are a business owner serious about having a great presence on the web. If you're serious about having a professional presence on the web, you're not going to want to use these builders.
That's true, Christian. You're going to want to hire somebody to actually do it for you, probably.
Right. And
like yourself.
Exactly, like my company, Creativity Design Group. When you support CDG or any company like mine that does website design or graphic design and services like that, not only are you guaranteed a professional-looking website, but you're also supporting a small business. And in this day and age, it's all about supporting small businesses. COVID is still a problem in the world.
Yeah, businesses are just starting off.
COVID has sparked an increase in website design demand because people are doing business online remotely now when they possibly can.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when you build with a free website builder, you're still getting scammed even though you're not spending any money on it. There are a few costs that you might incur with these builders. For example, maybe you bought your domain name and you bought it for a year or 2 years up front, but because you don't want to spend the money on the website design, you're plumping for one of these builders in order to save money. And that's a very big mistake that many business owners make. And we're going to talk about why that's not good. There are some really, really bad reasons why you should avoid these website builders and why you should avoid them like they're the plague. The first thing I want to talk about, though, are the minimal reasons why they're not good for business. And Chef Jay, I believe you read some reviews online earlier about one of the builders. Which builder did you read a review about, and what were people saying?
Google Domains or something like that. I didn't really like that one, and they wanted too much.
Yes.
So that's pretty much what I did. I like the integrations that they have, the easeability, or like, because most of these people aren't good at web design, like myself. So I like how the functionality and integrations like that have, and templates and stuff. You can just make it like set it up real easy in the beginning.
Right.
And I also want to say that there's a difference from a free web builder than a free trial for the web builder.
That's right.
So there's differences in that too.
That's right.
So
some of the stuff that they tell you are free may not actually be free. They might put the word free 7-day trial in small print as a byline. So when you're signing up and you're filling out information, you should be thinking to yourself, why are they asking for my credit card information if it is a free service? That should be a big red flag right there.
Definitely.
I have that issue when I come to sign up for something and I've not read the small print saying it's a membership, but luckily when that has happened, I've been able to cancel it quite quickly.
That's good you caught that.
Yeah, that's why you have to read everything and make sure that you catch little things like that. They don't want you to read it. They're hoping that you'll just give in and sign up. Some of the reasons why website builders are not actually free is because, for one thing, they're going to ask you for your credit card when you're signing up. How is that free, right? And if you provided your payment to them already during the sign-up process, then they're just going to keep billing your card without notice every time it's time for renewal. Maybe it's monthly, maybe it's yearly. But there are hidden costs in these free website builders. They're not really free. And they might even charge you higher than normal fees for different things. Maybe they want to charge you for an email address, for example. When you sign up for a hosting plan for a paid website service, such as Bluehost, for example, when you sign up for professional web hosting with a paid hosting plan, whether it be on Bluehost or WP Engine or HostGator or anything like that, email addresses are already included in your plan. They won't charge you extra for them. But if you're going through Wix or Weebly or these so-called free website builders, they're probably going to bill you who knows how much for them. They're charging you for something that the other people are not charging for. And that's where it turns into a scam.
And what these free website builders also do is they try to make money off the back end, especially if you're inexperienced, it's your first website, you're going through one of these free web builders that also will provide you with domain registration, the whole combo thing.
Mm-hmm.
What they will actually do is, what anybody can go do is search for a domain. You may find one, say, for $5 a year, for example. And what they'll do is they'll just go to the same thing you can do is buy that domain and then charge you triple the price for it through their services.
Right.
And then also there's extra things they try to throw in on you as well, like stuff that against also that you can do for yourself, like we'll submit your website to 30 search engines so you'll get more web traffic and so forth, blah blah blah, for just X amount of dollars, one-time price or certain amount of price per month, and submitting your information, your website to Google, Bing, Yahoo, whatever. That's all a free service anyway. It takes a little bit of work, but it is free. That's not something you should pay for.
Right. There are platforms that charge for that, such as Hicks. Yext is a business directory management system. They take all your information, such as your address, phone number. They make sure it's consistent across all online directories like Facebook, Yellow Pages, Google, so many different online directories. And they make sure it remains consistent on all of them. Now, you can actually register your business on all these directories by hand. It takes at least a day or two to do it. It's a lot to do, but you can do it for free yourself, so why pay for it? If you have extra time to do it, just go ahead and do it. And I highly recommend that people do that, because more references means more backlinks, and backlinks are a major ranking factor when it comes to search engine optimization, or SEO.
Yeah. The more you can get your information out there, the more people can come back and reach your website.
Right.
I was just going to say, I'm just a big fan of, if you can do it for free, do it. Put forth the effort and do it, and save some money. Because you're going to be investing in your, especially if you're using a website for your business. I mean, save that money to invest in your business.
Right, exactly. There's a few exceptions to that, such as, getting a website built. You certainly don't want to do that for free.
Yeah, well, that would be, I would consider that an investment in the business, absolutely.
Right. I wanted to go back to talking about domains. A big problem with these website builders is that you can't really use a true custom domain. And what I mean by that is, if you're going with the free plan on Wix or Weebly, your website address is going to have their name in it. It's going to be something like, for example, let's say you own a restaurant called Joe's Hamburgers, and you're building on Wix, and you're going with the free plan. Your web address is most likely going to be joeshamburgers.wix.com. Now tell me, how professional does that look and sound, especially on business cards and billboards and TV advertising and stuff like that?
Definitely.
It's not something I would take very seriously as a web address. It's for a business. If I was a consumer, I wouldn't take it very seriously. I mean, it may work, but it doesn't sound professional.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It looks terrible. It looks terrible when you look at it. When I see that a business is using a web address that has Wix.com in it, or Weebly.com, or WordPress.com, and I'll explain that in a second, I don't take it seriously. It tells me that they're not putting enough money into their business to truly represent themselves. And WordPress.com does, speaking of them, they offer a free plan, but they're also very limited too. It's not like self-hosted WordPress when you get website hosting through a major provider, like the ones I mentioned, like HostGator or Bluehost. WordPress.com is basically a watered-down version of regular WordPress. You don't have access to all these great themes. There's limited customization options. I mean, that's another one out there. I just wanted to clear that up because I wanted to make sure that people understood the difference between self-hosted WordPress and free websites on WordPress.com.
Another thing that people should realize, if they are using these free web builders for their business, if they want them to look professional, these free web builders are going to inject ads into your website.
That's right.
So they're making money off of those ads. So again, it's free technically to you, but they're making money off the back end. And it's not going to make your website look good when you get a pop up for Charmin toilet paper or something on your fancy lobster website or something like that.
Definitely. Too wild.
They also advertise their own services too. For example,
Absolutely.
And I've seen this before, you build a free website on Wix or Weebly, the footer is going to say this website was built for free with Wix.com, with Weebly.com, and they even throw in a pop-up you can't get rid of. It's kind of like a scrollable pop-up where you have to click on it to reveal it, but it doesn't go away. You click on that and it opens up an ad encouraging other people to sign up for free. That doesn't look professional or clean either.
Not at all.
It blocks out a lot of your page, or it's just a fixed banner either at the top, bottom, or somewhere on the page. But yeah, the pop-ups, like I said, you can't get rid of, and you can't really navigate a page when there's a pop-up floating over top of everything you're trying to look at.
Right. All these things we've been talking about are all reasons why these website builders are suicidal to a business's image, especially their online image. It just looks like that the owner of the business took literally no time or effort to make themselves look good online. And when you're a business and you're serious about making money, you got to make sure you look like you're the best out there. These red flags that we've been talking about, these are all reasons why I would not want to do business with this type of company.
Right. I mean, that would be, with that, that would be something I would click off of very quickly and just move on to something else.
Mm-hmm. And that would increase bounce rate. Bounce rate means how quickly somebody leaves your website after they pull it up.
Yeah, and that's another thing these things might be limiting to is information like analytics. How many people are viewing your website? Where are they from? Can you block people? Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. Because when you set up a professional website on self-hosted WordPress, then you can actually set up Google Analytics and monitor who's coming in, what your biggest referrals are. However, when you're dealing with a free website builder, they give you little to no option for that. And that also includes SEO as well. When you're dealing with WordPress, when you're working with a WordPress website, you can optimize all your pages very easily, and there's plugins that will guide you when you're writing your content for your web pages, what you can do to make its SEO better.
That, but if your web pages get hacked, this company might not back up your website, and you have to start from scratch all over again.
That's very true. Because on Wix and Weebly, you have very limited resources for SEO. If you know how to do SEO by hand, you'll have to do it by editing the HTML. However, when it comes to customer service or maintenance, it's limited or non-existent. You're right. If Wix or Weebly have a problem on their end, your whole website's gone. You're right about that. They don't do backups of your site. So when you're building on these free platforms, you're putting your whole website at risk. And if it goes down, you have to start from scratch and build it over again. If Wix or Weebly decide one day they want to go out of business, guess what? Your website's going with them too. You'll never see it again.
And imagine if you have years of building on that website. Long.
Yeah, say goodbye to it forever. You'll never see that website again. If you didn't back up all your content somewhere, you have to start over again. Terrible.
And another thing that you probably as a web builder, Christian, would know more than I do, since when I used to mess with them. With these free builders is I don't know if meta tags and tags and stuff like that are as important anymore when it comes to search optimization.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these services don't let you put that kind of information in there for the free web services. Is this something that's still a thing now when it comes to search optimization? Is these tags, or is that not most relevant anymore?
They're not as relevant as they once were, I'd say about 7 or 8 years ago, because Google changes their algorithms all the time. They look for so many different things now. For example, ranking factors include how mobile friendly is a website. Is it secure? Does it have an SSL certificate and show the green padlock in the address bar? Is the content good? They want to make sure that you have content that is well written and very informative. Is it unique content? See, those are just a few examples of little things that they look for now. And if you're on Wix, chances are blogging's not going to be easy as it would be on self-hosted WordPress, for example.
Yeah, definitely. And there's another way you can learn too. If you actually look at the top, the address bar, where it usually says HTTP, it'll say HTTPS, which means it's a secure connection.
Right, that's what I was talking about in terms of SSL certificates.
Yep.
And we've talked about that.
It's kind of like that little lock symbol, but it's just another S they put on the end.
Right, yeah. That's a plain English way of explaining SSL, because most people don't look at that stuff. And we talked about it a few episodes ago that if a website does not have HTTPS and it shows a broken or red padlock, then that's a sign that you need to leave that website and not fill out any forms on that site, because your personal information is now at risk for hackers to steal because it's not encrypted.
Yeah, it's an unsecure connection.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing, no matter, it's just like anything else is free, whether you're using free antivirus or anything. Everything that's free and stuff like this, all these the owners are doing is just building a profile on you.
Right.
To later on sell to other companies or keep amongst themselves to use to market to you. And so anything free, I mean, it's going to be a profile based on you. Anything you put in there, they're going to retain.
That's true. And there's also a possibility that when they retain your information, especially if you provided personal information, that they might sell your information to other companies. They're not making money from you if you're using a free web builder. We all know that. If you didn't buy the domain and you're just using this platform for free, they're not making any money from you. So what do? They take your information and they sell it to third parties who will then start spamming you with unwanted phone calls and spam emails and stuff like that.
Yep, very much.
So, in a way, you may not be spending any money on it, but this platform still isn't free. You're giving up other things. You're giving up your professionalism. You're giving up your company's image. You're giving up your personal information.
And the domain name that you're interested in. So they could buy that and sell it back to you for who knows how much.
Well, because like I was saying earlier, if they go by the domain name from another domain provider and then offer it to you in their bundle for a higher price and markup on that, technically they're the ones who have ownership of that domain name, and they can nuke your site and you can't get your domain name back or anything.
Right. It's almost like a domain version of the Google Voice scam we discussed 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, definitely.
The exact same scam, but with domains instead of your Google Voice number. Other limitations related to these free web builders are that, for one thing, you're restricted on what types of themes or layouts you can use. And why is that bad? Because somebody else might have used the same free web builder, they use the exact same template, and because you can't really customize their color schemes and such, you now have a website that looks exactly like somebody else. And maybe they're not even in the same business as you. Maybe they're a competitor and they're using the same thing. That could be even worse. In the business world, uniqueness is key. If you're not unique in any way and you're just blending in with everybody else, how can you expect to be found? If you're not giving somebody a USP, a unique selling point, why are you even in business to begin with if you're not competing properly? And if your website looks just like somebody else's website, then you're not blending in. How can you take that seriously, right? You don't want to look like somebody else.
And I have a question for you, Christian, and it's backtracking a little bit, but like you were talking about, free web builders like the your url.com or whatever it may be. With that not being like what I would call an actual www.com address for your domain, how does that look, say if you're looking up Bob's Burgers in Google and your website is webley.bobsburgers.com? How does that affect the search optimization in that if it's, literally webley.suchandsuch.com? Does that have any effect on the searching? Yeah, I was just curious, you type in, such a namebrand.com, it's probably going to be your first couple of hits in Google, but if you type in like something that's got a precursor before it, is that going to have the same effect in the rankings of the search? It may show up middle of the page or the next page, but I was just wondering if it affects position of the search.
In fact, Google will actually judge your free website in general as a poor authority, poor domain authority. Google wants to see if you have a website with a primary domains. In general, Google views primary domains, which, just straight up .com domains, to be more trustworthy and to have higher authority. There are a lot of factors related to domain authority, such as how long it's been registered and how many people visit. But in general, .wix.com, .weebly.com, those domains don't really have real authority on Google, and Google will most likely tend to push them down, further down their list of results, or may not even list them at all. They may just blacklist them altogether.
Yeah, I appreciate your answer. I was just wondering how that whole process fit into, like, the Google algorithm. Excuse me.
Google looks into so many different things because their algorithms change all the time.
Wow, I appreciate you.
Yes,
That's a good question.
that's a very good question. I'm glad you brought that up because we need a lot of our listeners to understand that. That's another thing that we need to stress to them. Free website builders in general are bad, but if you can't get listed on Google or you can't rank on Google, then why bother?
I mean, isn't it true though? If you get picked up in the spider crawl on Google, more than likely you will eventually start getting picked up by other search engines. Is that true or false?
It really depends because each search engine has their own individual ranking factors.
Mm-hmm.
Google spiders are different than Bing spiders or Yahoo spiders. But for the most part, the general rules of SEO apply to every website, regardless, such as making sure that you have good title tags, your keywords are in your descriptions, in your page titles. Those are all small on-page tweaks that are major and should be taken seriously by everybody who has a website out there who wants to get found.
Oh, I was wondering, how do you advertise your web design? Do you do it via Facebook and stuff like that?
Yes, I have my company listed on all major directories, on as many social networks as we can. And each social media network has its own marketing strategy. And then, of course, I have optimized pages on my own company's website. And we blog. We post out blog posts. And blog posts themselves have to be keyword optimized. And then, of course, shows like this podcast, for example, is a form of content marketing. Anytime you have different forms of content marketing like this, it only helps you even more in terms of getting found online. People like to see companies establishing authority. They want to see if these companies are run by people who are experts in their field. So how do you do that? You put out content. You write blog posts. You publish white papers, infographics. You do podcast shows like these. Websites that don't do this, or companies that don't do this in general, and they're just looking salesy, that doesn't help. That's, to me, I just view that as high-pressure sales. If the owner of the companies can establish themselves as experts in their field, then that shows that they are companies that you should go with. If they're not establishing themselves as experts and they spend more time trying to make themselves look good by pushing out salesy content, hard selling, they're just trying to be very salesman-like, it's hard to take them seriously. Chances are they're probably scams.
Yeah.
That also goes back into other reasons why free website builders should not be utilized by people who are serious about doing business. For one thing, a lot of these website builders have a cap on how many pages you can add. How can you content market if you can't add more pages or more blog posts, right?
So I just want to mention, one thing is they do a lot with courier company pages. They haven't got the capacity to have all their information and all their workers on their thing. For example, I hope this makes sense. There's a certain delivery company, DPD here, and they have an app. But lately, the drivers have had their name, but they've had different drivers' pictures on their profile, and like, what the hell? And I asked one of the drivers, and he said that the DPD app doesn't have enough storage to store all of their workers on, which I find bizarre.
That is very bizarre.
With a big company, they should have all the storage for every single worker they have coming in to have their own profiles.
It sounds like they have their friend driving the cab for them.
Yeah, but so basically, like Steve, he's one of the main drivers. He was under who was he under? He was under someone else the other day. I can't remember who. But then there's another guy called Stuart, and he's always under Ashley's profile. And Stuart is an older guy, but Ashley is like in his 20s, so it's quite funny. Wow. But they don't.
This sounds like it.
They're employing more and more people. There's not enough room on the app or whatever device they're using to store every single worker they got, so they have to use others' profiles. Big company.
That sounds like something that I've been reading on is what you're saying, Lord, is there's a such thing called reseller host. And what that is where someone buys a whole lot of space on their own personal host. And what they do is they take their personal space and then make it look like they're selling legitimate web hosting to what they'll call their clients. And you're really just hosting your stuff on somebody's personal web hosting space. And the problem that you run into with that, if they get into financial trouble or if their site goes down, sometimes you have no way of contacting them to find out what's going on. Why is your site not working? Or if they go down for financial trouble, again, it goes right back to you've lost all your work and you're not getting it back. So that's kind of a scam within itself, I think.
One thing that drives me up the wall about Hermes, this delivery company, they're a genuine company, but they're the worst company ever. They don't even have a customer service number anymore. And if there's a problem with your parcel, you have to wait forever to get a reply, and you have to rely on the resolver sites to put in a complaint or whatever, or to hope you chat to someone. But there's literally no customer service number or anything to get through to them anymore.
I was just going to say that's a good point. If you're going to a web builder and you don't see any email contact at minimum or an address or a phone number, stay away from that.
Yes.
What are you going to do if you need to contact them? Red flag.
It sounds like this whole company is operating on a budget, and wow, I wouldn't be able to take this company seriously. They don't have their website structure right, and there's no way Google is going to want to rank a website that poorly structured, because website structure also matters a lot too. And what they need to do is they need to move off that platform. They need to get website hosting and then get a real website, one where they can have as many pages as they need. Any hosting plans out there are very affordable, and they offer unlimited space. You could keep building as you need to, and you can even have multiple websites on one hosting plan if necessary. Right now, this company you're talking about just sounds like they have a spaghetti bowl of awkwardness. They don't know how to structure a website. Worst of all, they don't have any way to be contacted. Customer service is very important in any business, and if you can't offer customer service, period, you should not be in business.
Yeah. I would say customer service is a big thing for companies. Sometimes people buy cars or anything just because their customer service is really excellent.
Right? That's true. When you have a good reputation for customer service and you're the company everybody's going to want to flock to.
And that's a way to cycle out from them being a scammer or not.
And that's actually the next thing I want to talk about. Let's move into our final segment and talk about how scammers use free website builders all the time when they're trying to pretend to be another company.
Yeah.
Definitely, let's do it.
We've all watched a lot of scam baiting videos from different scam baiters. Jim Browning, Trilogy, Pierogi, so many different ones out there. And one common thing that I've noticed is that when a tech support scammer is pretending to be Microsoft or Amazon or similar company, what they like to do is they'll send links out to these fake forums or their website, and the websites will look very plain and ugly looking. They look like no effort was done to put them together. They slap the logo of the company that they're pretending to be on at the very top. And the address, the URL says microsoftrefund.wix.com. How in the world can you take that seriously? Are you really going to believe that Microsoft is going to be sending you a refund? How can you take Microsoft or Amazon seriously when they're sending you a refund form for something you didn't even buy on a free website builder? Big companies don't use free website builders, especially with the billions of dollars they make.
One thing as well, one scam, when I bought items off Amazon before, the company of the actual item you bought, they'll send you a random email offering you a full refund if you review the item, but they don't actually do that. It's a full-blown scam, and they'll report you. If you reply to the email, they'll report you to Amazon for trying to get free products and stuff.
Wow.
So I've had that before.
Yeah.
I think that's why I was blocked from commenting on. I was blocked from reviewing things on Amazon, and I didn't know why, because I hadn't done anything wrong. I'd never been rude, and I'm blunt, but not in like a public thing, and plus they always review your comment before you post it, so they have the chance to either accept it or not. But yeah, I decided to reply to his company to see if it was legit.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it would be. And then they complained to Amazon, and I got blocked from reviewing things because of it.
Wow.
I replied to the email, and it was a normal person. And I said to them I'd already reviewed the item on there, and like a day or so before they sent me the email, but because it wasn't live, they'd said they'd have to wait for it. And then all of a sudden, like a day or so later, I got blocked from reviewing things on Amazon.
Wow.
I think they were trying to act like you're scamming Amazon. So basically, they try to scam you, and then they'll grass you up for it, and you'll be the one who gets in trouble for it, for replying to the email.
Terrible. Just awful. It's just like with money laundering scams where they send you the check and they tell you to put it in the bank, and then you get in trouble for laundering money and nothing happens to the scammer because they can't catch him. It's the same thing, but only with this Amazon scam. Going back to how scammers use free website builders, some safety tips to look out for are, first of all, if they tell you they owe you a refund and you know you didn't purchase that product, then just don't take it seriously. That's your chance to hang up. And if they have you open any links and you see that it is not the real Amazon or the real Microsoft, and it says at weebly.com, .wix.com, then that's another sign right there that it's a scam. You just have to block that out, hang up on them, don't ever visit those websites again. My point also is that because scammers are utilizing these free website platforms all the time when they pretend to be these legit companies, now any legit businesses that are using these platforms as well are now throwing themselves in the same pool as the scammers. So you now know that scammers are using Wix and Weebly to build their websites, and then you see a legitimate business using these same builders. It's hard to tell now if said legit business is really who they are. They could be a scammer too. That's why I would never trust a business who uses these website builders. They could very well be scammers themselves.
A good example of that is domain registration scams, which is what I was talking about a little bit earlier, where if you use this one-size-fits-all, where they provide you the builder, they register your domain for you in your name. How the domain registration scams work is, since these free builders are selling your information, then scammers get a hold of this information, then they try to send you emails and send you regular mail, trying to make you think, hey, we're the person that you bought this domain through. It's time to renew it, even though you may have plenty of time on, a couple of years, and they try to get you to send them money, thinking that your website, threatening with your website's going to expire if you don't pay this certain amount, so they get money. Scamming lies through that. It's called a domain registration scam.
I've had a few clients who have told me that they almost got scammed by that once before. They told me they got an email saying that it was time to renew. They sent that email over to me for me to review it, and then I told them, don't open any links and don't answer the email. That is a scam, and it's the exact scam that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Especially since one of my previous clients, they got one of those emails right after they legitimately renewed their domain for another year. That's why they emailed me. They wanted to know why they were getting that email since they just renewed it. And I told them it was a scam. They're just trying to fish for your information.
And the best way if you get something like that and you're unsure if you know how to utilize it, go to like a whois.com and check like the I can register information and see if it matches up. And if it doesn't, then you know that's something that is off about it. It's probably a scam.
Right. It's always best to do your homework. Like I always say, do deep research, your due diligence. Look into every little thing you possibly can. If you feel that something isn't right, just don't give in to it. Put on your detective hat and research away. Try to figure out all you can about this person. Make sure that you're not giving away very sensitive personal information. In general, you should never give your personal information to a stranger, especially over an email. If you get an email asking for any of that stuff, don't give them anything. Delete it. Mark it as spam.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
And so bottom line is what we're always saying on here all the time. If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
It probably is.
Today's lesson is free is not free.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Another important point that I need to mention is that a lot of these free website builders have a reputation for distributing malware. Not only are scammers utilizing these platforms and blending in with legitimate businesses, but you're also at risk of ruining your own business's image by giving your visitors malware. How are they going to trust you ever again if just simply visiting your website caused their computers to get a virus?
Yeah, cause their antivirus to go off with a warning or something. You're not going to go back there.
Exactly.
Some crazy pop-up.
That's exactly right. Over here at CDG, when we build websites for our clients, we talk to them about what their goals are. We get all the content from them in their color scheme. And we always make sure that every little thing works. If they have problems, we go in and make sure it's fixed. We also make sure that their website is locked up and secure. Make sure there aren't any security problems later. You don't get any of that from a free website builder. If something bad happens to your website on those free website builders, you're on your own. Chances are you'll have no choice but to move to a paid website provider.
And especially these the free ones, I mean, they offer little, if any, like encryption or security protection. So if you're a business and you're going to be utilizing this website to say take people's payment information through, stay away from that.
That's true. In fact, one of the biggest limitations of these free website builders is that they don't have any e-commerce capabilities. And if they do, the security is on them. If they're not providing you proper security or they don't have their SSL certificates installed properly, that's on them. However, the liability will go back to whoever's running the website. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
So that's another thing. If you're serious about doing an online store and you really want to look good, don't go for the free website builders. Even though they don't really offer e-commerce most of the time, if they do, I still advise that you stay away from it if they ever decide to start offering those plans later on in the future. It's just too risky. You don't want a platform that's notorious for handling malware to also be handling your payments. You don't want your payment processing on that environment as well. That's really asking for trouble. That's playing with fire right there. Does anybody have any final comments, questions, or remarks they'd like to share before we close out the show?
I just want to say be safe, everybody. There's a lot of weird, crazy people out there.
Yeah.
That's true. Always make sure that you check everything out before you do business with anybody. Get references. Make sure that they're upfront about pricing. Read your contracts line by line. Read them down to the very last period, very last comma.
Definitely. Don't sign your name away.
Exactly.
You've got to be very careful.
And we already give enough money to our governments. Why do we got to give it to scammers too? Come on.
Right?
And if you're able to, yeah, if you're able to, check out whatever company you're going through, free or not. Check out if they've got examples of some of the work that they've done, whether it's free or paid or whatever. See what it is they're capable of providing you. And definitely read, like, I'm a big fan of ripoffreports.com for user commentaries and so forth. And they got some good information. If you want to look up some of these free web builders, you'll be surprised at what the trouble people are having with these people.
I agree.
Definitely.
How the hell can you be too opinionated these days? You have to be, because you can't just go and be too nice to someone and then they'll walk all over you.
That's true, but you can't take life too seriously because you'll never get out alive.
Exactly.
Good middle ground.
But part of me was like, well, how does it make sense, Because you have to be opinionated and speak your mind. But yeah, obviously I get what it meant. I said I found that quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the most open-minded person you'll ever meet. I'm also the most vocal and most blunt you'll ever meet. I tell everything like it is, as you know, and I've told it like it was about these website builders here.
Don't like us being too blunt, apparently.
Yeah, same here. I've been told I have no filter.
Don't.
Well, that's a good thing about your show, Christian. Is you state it, you put it bluntly, you state it like it is. There's no bias on any product that you're reviewing or any of the scams that we do. And I'd rather have it that way. I'd rather it be told to me as a fact and like it is, and no BS with it. And that's what I like about this show.
Definitely agenda free.
We got to remember, the truth is not always pretty. It's not always apple pie and honey. When I tell the truth, I tell it like it is, no matter how brutal it is, no matter how ugly it sounds. And I've stated some pretty ugly facts today about why business owners need to get off these platforms as soon as they can and get a real professional website built. Thank you guys once again for joining me on the show. This has been a very informative episode, and I know that all of your input and the information you provided today will really be educational and useful to all of our listeners.
Yeah, they do appreciate it.
Absolutely. We appreciate it, Christian.
Thanks for being on the show again, man. I love being here.
Yeah, so do I. Appreciate you having us.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the CDG BizCast. Please remember to follow us on social media and follow Facedown Tragedies channel where you'll find the After the Shuffle podcast. Remember, CDG is your one-stop shop for website design, graphic design, and all forms of digital marketing. Get your website designed with CDG today, starting at $7.99.